Hello and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that you've probably wondered about, maybe even worried about, especially if you've ever filled out an insurance form. We're calling this one the insurance white lie. So picture this. You're applying for health insurance and, you leave out a small detail, something minor from a while back. You figure it's no big deal. But then, years down the line, bam, you get diagnosed with something serious and totally unrelated. The big question is, can the insurance company use that little white lie from years ago to tear up your entire policy right when you need it the most?
And look, this isn't just some made-up what-if scenario. This really happened. We're going to walk you through the actual case of a woman named Miss Jiang. Her story is fascinating. It went all the way to her country's Supreme Court, and it sheds so much light on this exact problem.
Okay, so here's how it all went down, and believe me, it happened fast. In July 2019, Miss Jiang takes out a new policy. Just 3 months later, she gets a devastating diagnosis, breast cancer. But when she files her claim, the insurance company doesn't just deny it, they cancel her entire policy. So of course, she sues them, and she wins. Twice, in fact. But the insurer keeps fighting, pushing it all the way to the top. So what was the insurance company's big reason for pulling the plug? Well, it all boiled down to something Miss Jiang didn't put on her application form. She hadn't mentioned that she'd been to a Chinese medicine clinic for symptoms of anemia. Now, from Miss Jiang's side of things, this felt totally unfair. She argued, hey, those visits were just for general body conditioning, not a serious illness. And here's the key part. The form specifically asked about one type of anemia, which tests later proved she didn't have. So in her mind, she had told the truth. And at first, it looked like she was going to win. The legal system was on her side. Both the district court and then the high court looked at the evidence and said, yeah, we agree with Ms. Jiang. They ordered the insurance company to pay up. Seemed like a slam dunk. And the logic the first two courts used? Well, it's probably the same logic you or I would use. It was really simple. They looked at the undisclosed anemia on one hand and the breast cancer on the other and asked, did the anemia cause the cancer? The medical experts said no, there was no connection. So for the courts, it was an open and shut case. No link, no reason to cancel. Makes sense, right? Well, you probably guessed it. That's not where the story ends. Not by a long shot. The case went to the Supreme Court, and they looked at the exact same facts and came to the complete opposite conclusion. They sided with the insurance company. And that's the big mystery here, isn't it? Why would the highest court in the land look at two previous rulings that seemed so logical, so fair, and say, nope, you both got it wrong? The answer actually gets to the very heart of how insurance is supposed to work. It all comes down to the question they were trying to answer. You see, the lower courts were asking about causation. Did the anemia cause the cancer? But the Supreme Court asked a totally different question. They asked about materiality. Forget the cancer for a second. If the insurer had known about the anemia from day one, would it have changed their decision to even offer the policy in the first place? This gets to a really fundamental legal idea called utmost good faith. Think of it this way. An insurance policy isn't like buying a TV. It's a special kind of contract that's built on a foundation of absolute total honesty. The insurer has to take your word for it because your answers are all they have to figure out how big of a risk they're taking. The court said that by not disclosing her health history, Ms. Jiang had broken the balance of the deal. Think of it like a set of scales. The premium you pay is on one side and the risk the insurer takes on is on the other. If you hide something about the risk, you tip the scales. The whole deal is unbalanced from the very beginning. And the court put it really bluntly. I'm paraphrasing the ruling here, but they basically said that letting someone get away with hiding information would be completely unfair. It would encourage people to roll the dice, hide things, and hope that if they ever have to make a claim, it's for something else. That would just wreck the whole system. And let's make this real. Just think, what if Miss Jiang had disclosed her history with anemia? The insurer wouldn't have just shrugged and said, okay. No way. They might have asked for a full medical exam, or they could have charged her a higher premium. Or maybe they would have offered a policy but with an exclusion for anything blood-related. They might have even just refused to cover her at all.
By not telling them, she took away their chance to make that call.
So in the end, the Supreme Court's decision was pretty cut and dry. They said her failure to mention the anemia was material. It was important enough that it would have absolutely changed the insurer's decision. And because that core principle of utmost good faith was broken, the contract itself was basically void. It was like it never existed.
Okay, so that was a wild legal ride. But what in the world does this all mean for you, for me, for anyone filling out these forms? Let's break down the big takeaways here. This case basically hands us a 3-point checklist. Number 1, your job is to disclose everything the form asks for, period. Number 2, the real test isn't if one thing caused another, it's if the information was material to the deal. And number 3, the penalty isn't just a denied claim, it's getting your whole policy canceled.
All right, first things first. When that form asks if you've been to a doctor, it doesn't matter if you think it was for something silly or just conditioning. A visit is a visit. You have to mention it. The big lesson here is pretty simple. When in doubt, just write it down. Let the professionals, the underwriters, decide if it's important.
Second, you've got to get that idea of causation out of your head. The new key word is materiality. Think of it as the insurer's what-if game. All they have to prove is, what if we had known this fact? Would it have changed our decision in any way? If the answer is yes, then guess what? That fact was material.
And finally, let's be super clear about the stakes here. This isn't just about one claim being denied. As we saw with Ms. Zhang, the risk is that the insurer can cancel your entire policy. They can just tear up the contract, refund your premiums, and walk away, leaving you high and dry.
Okay, but there is one really important silver lining here for all of us, and it all comes down to the number 2. In a lot of places, insurers only have a 2-year window from when the policy starts to challenge it for non-disclosure. It's called the contestability period. If they don't find the issue within those 2 years, they usually can't cancel the policy anymore. In Ms. Zhang's case, the diagnosis came just 3 months in, so the insurer was well within that 2-year window. So we'll leave you with this question to chew on. This ruling really changes the way we have to think about those little white lies. It's not just about getting one claim paid. It's about the trust that the entire insurance system is built on. So think back to the last time you filled out one of those forms. Is there anything you might see a little differently now? Thanks for joining us.